have you ever just stopped and wondered, what does it actually mean to be alive? It seems so simple on the surface, doesn't it? But deep down, your body is conducting this incredibly complex and beautiful symphony of processes, all just to keep you going. So let's pull back the curtain and take a look at the 4 crucial processes that conduct this symphony and really define life itself.
I mean, it feels like a pretty easy question, right? You see a dog running, a plant growing, a person breathing. Obviously, those things are alive. But what about when they're perfectly still? What's the real difference between, say, a rock and a rabbit?
So yeah, the obvious signs are all about things we can see, visible movement. But the real answer, the one that gets biologists excited, is so much cooler. It's happening on a scale you can't even imagine. See, life is actually defined by constant, invisible molecular movement. It's this relentless, non-stop process of maintenance and repair just to keep everything in working order.
And this really gets to the core problem of what it means to be alive. You know, the universe naturally leans towards chaos, towards breaking down. So being alive is a constant uphill battle against that very breakdown. Our bodies are these incredibly organized structures, and if that organization fails, well, life stops. So how do we fight back?
Well, the first solution is pretty straightforward. You need fuel. To fight this breakdown, we absolutely need energy and raw materials. And that brings us to our very first life process, nutrition. This is all about getting those essential building blocks from the outside world into our bodies. Now, when it comes to getting that fuel, life has pretty much figured out 2 main strategies. On one side, you've got the self-feeders, or autotrophs. Think of plants, right? They make their own food from sunlight, water, and air. And then there's the rest of us, the heterotrophs, who get our fuel the old-fashioned way, by eating other organisms. As heterotrophs, we humans have this unbelievably specialized system, the alimentary canal. It's basically one long, winding tube designed to do one thing really well: taking complex food and systematically break it down into molecules our cells can actually use.
So how's this journey work? It all kicks off in the mouth. Enzymes in your saliva start breaking down starches right away. From there, it's onto the stomach, which uses powerful acid and another enzyme, pepsin, to tackle proteins. But the main event, the real show, happens in the small intestine. That's where everything, carbs, proteins, and fats, gets fully broken down and absorbed.
Okay, so we've got the fuel. We've broken it down. But how do our cells turn that into actual usable power? Well, that's the job of our second process, respiration.
Every single one of your cells starts by splitting a glucose molecule in half. From there, it's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure story, and it all depends on one key ingredient: oxygen. If oxygen is around, that's aerobic respiration, we can break it all the way down and get a huge energy payoff. No oxygen? Well, that's a much less efficient process that creates byproducts like lactic acid. You might have felt that as a muscle cramp during a hard workout.
And all that energy from respiration gets captured in this amazing little molecule, ATP. You should think of it as the universal energy currency for your cells. It's like a tiny, rechargeable battery that powers literally everything you do, from thinking and blinking to just lifting a finger.
All right, so we've got the fuel and we've got the energy. But how in the world do we get them to trillions of individual cells, each needing its own supply? That brings us to our third life process, transportation. And this is where the human heart just absolutely shines. Its 4-chambered design creates this brilliant system called double circulation. See, one loop sends blood to the lungs to pick up oxygen, and the other loop pumps that fresh, oxygenated blood out to the entire body. Keeping them separate like this is incredibly efficient, and it's a huge deal for high-energy animals like us. Of course, the heart is connected to a massive highway network. Arteries are like the major interstates, carrying high-pressure blood away from the heart. Veins are the return roads, and they even have little valves to keep blood from flowing backward. And the capillaries? Well, they're the tiny local streets, the side roads where the real work happens, delivering oxygen and nutrients right to your cell's front door. But there's a catch, right? All these amazing processes, they create waste. And that waste can be pretty toxic if it builds up. So the final piece of this puzzle is figuring out how to deal with it. And that is our fourth process, excretion. The star players of this team are, without a doubt, your kidneys. They, along with the ureters and bladder, make up the body's primary filtration plant. Their main gig is to filter all that harmful nitrogenous waste, like urea, right out of your blood. Now, prepare to have your mind blown. On any given day, your kidneys filter about 180 liters of fluid from your blood. Let that sink in. 180 liters. That is literally enough to fill a bathtub. Just an absolutely staggering amount of work.
So if they're filtering that much, why aren't we just constantly running to the bathroom? It's because the system is brilliantly efficient. After filtering everything out, the kidneys reabsorb almost all of that water, plus any other useful stuff, sending only the concentrated waste and a tiny bit of water out as urine. It's just incredible.
And all this action happens at a microscopic level. Each of your kidneys is packed with millions of these tiny little filtration units called nephrons. This is where every single drop of your blood gets cleaned over and over and over again, all day long.
So, as you can see, none of these processes works alone. Not even close. They're all deeply, deeply interconnected. Like a true symphony of life. You can't have energy without nutrition, you can't use that energy without transportation, and none of it would work for very long if you couldn't get rid of the waste.
At the end of the day, these four processes are the body's elegant solutions to the fundamental problems of staying alive. They let us get fuel, turn it into power, deliver it everywhere it needs to go, and then clean up the mess afterward. It's all just one continuous, perfectly coordinated effort.
Which kind of leaves us with one last thought. This isn't some system that just runs on autopilot. It is a constant, dynamic, even precarious balancing act against the forces of breakdown. It really makes you wonder, what is life, if not a beautiful, relentless struggle against chaos?